So when we start to think about it, there are 4 roles of a synchronized team. So let's talk about it this way. Do we have anybody who's ever been on a small boat with twin engines? What happens on those boats if those 2 engines are not synchronized? You go in circles, and if nothing else, the worst, you get this unbelievable vibration. So what about your teams? What about your chapter teams? How are they? How well do they work? Are they understanding the concepts of what we're looking at? Folks, that's where we're getting at, is understanding how do we lead with influence.
There's a lot of aspects to a team, and the chemistry part is so critical. Whether it's fast-paced or slow-paced, task-based or social-based, once we understand where everybody is on our team, we can accomplish the results.
There are 4 roles. There is the creator role. There is the advancer role. There is the refiner role. And then there is the executor. Yes, it is executor, not executioner. Now, one of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is to get with your chapter folks before you leave here and talk about this for a few minutes. Because the ideas that got you and your chapters to where you are could be the same things that are holding you or your chapters back from growing.
You walk in, you sit down, you're kind of thumbing through your stuff going, okay, what's next? You know, getting kind of tired of this. And then Gregg opens his mouth and the room lights up.
Good morning! How y'all doing? By the way, today is what day of the week? Hump Day it is! Also known as Wonderful Wacky Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thrilling Thursday, Fantastic Friday, Superlative Saturday, Sensational Sunday. Magnificent or Marvelous Monday, Terrific Tuesday. If you do that and understand that, you will never have an average day again.
What I loved is that Gregg is just so passionate. I mean, when you come to these sessions, you want to come away with at least 2 or 3 takeaways that you can implement with your own teams. And Gregg gave me, I think, at least 10.
If a team does not trust, we've talked about it, they are going to have grounds for failure. And again, that trust is vulnerability trust. We've got to have it. The added benefit when you have a good vision statement is you get the benefit of team members holding each other accountable. And holding each other accountable is going to go a lot further, a lot longer, a lot deeper in the hearts of every single person you've got.
When you have an opportunity to go to a speaker session where they really know what you are looking for and they really know how to deliver that in such a way so that you hear it new and fresh and a new way to apply it and a new way to approach it. And that's what Gregg Gregory.
When you take the time to do it right, guys, you walk out of there with one of the best places in the world to work. We've got to understand that we've got to have trust as the core foundation. And when we start talking about culture, the culture is core of everything. And trust is at the foundation of building that culture. There's no doubt we've got to have it. How important is the culture? How important is it? It's everything. Companies that have failed, they will sometimes go back and say they had problems and relate it to strategy. If you dig deep enough and hard enough, you will find they violated something in their culture or their beliefs. There's a friend of mine in Maryland has a company. He's got about 25 to 35 employees. It's a tech company where he provides technical support to companies on their hardware primarily and software issues and manages things in the cloud. And he's got his vision and mission statements, and he's got his core value statements. And his core value statements are what they make decisions by. When they live by those core value statements, that's part of their culture, that's how they make their decisions. Now, when you talk to organization CEOs, they're going to tell you the biggest thing they work on is strategy, getting the finances in order, getting the processes in order, and getting all that done. And most CEOs will tell you they're very good at that. They'll also tell you what keeps them awake at night is the health of the organization. And when I say health, I don't mean financial health, because that falls under strategy if it's done right. I'm talking about the employee health. That's what we're going to talk about today, is the culture. We're going to focus on creating a culture where people want to collaborate. Now, do we have anybody who's ever charted a course on the waterways? Cool. Do we have anybody who's got their pilot's license and flies planes? You all will grasp this concept. You've heard it, I am sure. It's called TVMDC. And what that means is we have to start off with what's called true north. So the T is true. What does that mean in business? That means your mission, your vision, your values, and your beliefs. Then the organization has that, we're on target. Okay? So then what has to happen? We have to calculate variation. How many of you all have ever worked and there's something that comes down from senior management, the board of directors, or wherever, and there's changes, and you have no control over those changes? Do you still have to lead your team in that direction, yes or no? Absolutely. So if you understand this, then you know the navigational changes you must make. As a tech support manager, as a tech member, we have to know how to navigate. So what does that mean? When we have our true north, we factor our variation in, we know our magnetic heading, then we have to deal with what's called deviation. How many folks in this room can go an entire day and have zero interaction with another person? I got a few hands over there. Now, next question. How many would like to? Yeah. Well, guess what deviation is? These are the things called the people on the team, the projects that pop up, and the things that may be able to be controlled. My father taught me a long time ago, there's different things that we have to challenge and account for. On a management team, we have to recognize this. This is critical that we start to recognize what's pulling us. Things challenge us. We have to be able to focus along those lines. So once we calculate for our deviation, we then have our C, which is compass. And then we can chart our course. Now, I go through this kind of quickly because this is critical. We understand this. We have to recognize what's pulling us off course. When we've got the people pulling us off course, then guess what we can do? We can then figure out what we have to do to work with it. Now, that could be behaviors. It could be a certain person that may need special training. Their training they may need may be how to deal with difficult people. Their training may be how to be more tactful and couth. Their training may be how to understand certain situations. Whatever it happens to be, once we know what that is. And by the way, I did a program a few years ago called Dealing with Difficult People, and I had about 30 folks in the workshop, and the gentleman came up to me at the end of the day, and he says, I know why I was here. You know, my boss told me I had to come. I was one of your prisoners of war. And he says, now I know why they sent me, because I'm the difficult person they have to deal with. Thank you for making me aware of it, and I will make changes. About a year later, I got an email from him. He says, I'm still at the company. We're working better. And he says, it makes sense. Whatever your challenge is, we've got to work with. That's the key fun factors that we're looking at.